All right. Can you hear me? Yes. Imagine a world controlled by artificial intelligence. A world where AI algorithms outnumber humans, make countless decisions in split seconds in total secrecy, and thereby influence our economy and reshape reality. Is this fantasy, or are we already living this? Well, I would argue we're probably already there. If you think about it, AI algorithms are already ranking the news feeds, so essentially selecting the content that we see and spend potentially hours, browsing every day. They empower surveillance states with face recognition capabilities. They can be used to generate fake content that then in turn can be used to sway elections. And 85% of the financial industry already uses sentiment analysis, already uses the latest AI model. So we're already there, arguably. And then for the first time, something is happening. The traditional software industry that, historically speaking, has been the one disrupting the rest of the industry. People say software, it's everything. But now we're seeing AI eats software. And it's really the first time. And I think that's really unique and should be underlined here. And then on top of that, we even haven't seen the end of it, because what we've seen so far is called LLMs. It's one revolution, but they are also limited. And some people now are afraid about artificial general intelligence, so superior intelligence, like intelligence that is superior to humans. And now we have the fear that maybe it's going to take over the world. And so should we be afraid of AI? So my name is Mathieu Baudet. I am the founder at Linera. Linera is a next generation blockchain optimized for real-time agentic applications. I'll say a few words about it at the end. In the rest of the talk, I want to take a hard look with you at the state of AI, some what I think are non-problems, some real problems, and what we can do about them, notably with blockchain technology, which is my field. Okay, so what should we know about AI? And in fact, maybe I'm going to ask you a few questions. Maybe you can get this out of the way. Who thinks AGI, artificial general intelligence, is going to destroy the world, take over everything? One person, okay. Mixed feelings, okay. So personally, my professional opinion as a computer scientist, I think it's unlikely, or I think we have worse thing to worry about. Okay, that's a weak argument maybe. So first, we're not there yet. Okay, so despite the news, AGI, we haven't achieved yet. Because the main technology right now, it's called LLM, something that is based on what's called deep learning. And it's basically a certain framework, a certain mathematical framework, where you train the model on very specific tasks, and then they try to imitate their examples and perform the tasks as best as they can. Now, of course, we've seen with chatbots, ChatGPT being the first, we've seen with chatbot that the task on which LLMs can be trained can be a very generic one, which is basically, here's a chat, try to behave like a human. Try to answer any kind of questions we're going to throw at you. So it's a pretty generic task, and it's pretty impressive, but it's still very limited. And in fact, the models, they are not going to mutate. They're not going to suddenly acquire new capabilities, create viruses, take over the world if nobody is, is really pressing them to do so. Okay, so that was the first question. Second question, should we be afraid for our jobs? I'm a software engineer, and like I said, for the first time, software engineers, they are kind of disrupted. For the first time, we're thinking that there are AI is learning how to code, and is being used, and is definitely changing the way software engineers work. So should we be afraid for our jobs? And here I'm going to say maybe. It depends. So first, there are certain jobs that are definitely kind of in danger because AI is really good at it right now. Okay, so like language translation, for instance. I'm sorry if people are working in this field here, but yeah, I mean, if you have children, like they say, hey, I'll be a translator. I'll be like, okay, be careful, because like AI is like literally translating like in real time, voice to voice, pretty well already. Other kind of jobs, like software engineer, it's pretty impressive when you see what AI can do already. It's still at the level of a junior engineer right now. Some people think that down the road it's gonna become more and more capable, and perhaps will compete with humans. Now, you know, all in all, we were kind of lacking. We kind of missing software engineers anyway. Like the demand for the job is pretty high. So I think it's still a pretty good gig. Personally, I would vote still learn how to code, and you will be more productive because of the progress of AI, but I don't think you will be replaced. That's me. So now, is AI a good thing overall? You know, knowing the danger. And let's look into one thing that really I'm really excited about, and many people are really excited about it. Because I talked about chatbots. The next evolution is what we call AI agents. AI agents is basically, you know, like just a change of perspective. You are starting with this task where you have a chat and you ask the agent to behave, you know, to respond. Now suddenly we are looking at AI agent that can just continue working. You know, like you can give them a high-level task, and in background they can keep working. Then maybe you can talk to them. Oh, I changed my mind. Oh, I would like you to do things differently. But they start behaving more like a colleague, like a teammate. And I think that's really exciting. Personally, I think this is really something that's going to be immensely useful, make people more productive. You know, the society is becoming more and more complex. There's red tape everywhere, and everybody could use a hand. So we're going there. It's really exciting to me. And in fact, you remember, perhaps you remember in the Apple when Steve Jobs was explaining that he wanted to build the bike for the mind. You know, at the time, in his mind, it was the first Apple computers. I think in 2025, the bike for the mind is going to really be this AI assistant that everybody can use to be more productive. And starting also to be more productive, including in learning. So it's really a fascinating time and a bright future. Now but this being said, I also want to talk about what I think are the real risks for AI. So when AI goes wrong, well, we mentioned that. So it's basically potentially really a force of chaos in the society. Like you have all this fake content. Obviously the need for people to learn more about AI and to adjust their careers potentially. I think what's concerning a lot of people also is the lack of transparency in the major players that are currently running AI algorithms. There's no control of how they compute what they compute, like your news feed, Twitter or Facebook, or YouTube. You have no clue why they showed you this rather than that. Okay, and so there's really a lack of transparency, and we do see that when there's a change of owner in the particular company, suddenly the content changes. So there's really here something that perhaps is not optimal for our democracies. But there's also a risk that, that the solution is worse than the problem, then suddenly our governments start over-regulating over AI, right? And so that would be also a shame, because suddenly innovation could be curbed, could be slowed down, or made even impossible in some cases. So what can we do about it? And this is where I'm going to talk a little bit of what blockchain can do to help AI. So and first maybe just a word of history. So blockchain started with Bitcoin. Bitcoin showed that you could use the internet, use the infrastructure of the internet to create a financial system out of virtually nothing, just a protocol, no central bank, no regulators, and that was the miracle of Bitcoin that really started everything else. And then people took that idea and they refined it, they created more blockchains, adding the ability to program, to create those on-chain applications, and to create more and more interesting applications for it. Now, when it comes to AI, there are two ways to see how blockchain could help AI. One is solving this problem of transparency. The way we train the AI models, or the way we use them, we could use blockchain to make that more transparent. Blockchains are, by default, these extremely transparent systems where everybody can see what's going on. Or you can ask somebody to connect. You can connect, or you can ask somebody to do that for you. Look at the code, look at how it was run. And the systems are controlled by these organizations where you can even create some democracy, some internal governance to really, like really in the spirit of internet. And so it's really fascinating how blockchain could be used to make AI way more democratic, to give it back to the people. You know, we're not there yet. It's still a lot of work to do. There are like a lot of, I'm going to talk about it, but there are a lot of performance issues to do that. Another thing also blockchain is really good for is countering overregulation, making sure that innovation stays there. Because when you think about it, you put a protocol out there on the internet, and then it runs. And there's no single point of failure. There's not a single entity that you can talk to and say, hey, I want you to shut this down. Right? That's the power of the blockchain. That is really interesting also to keep innovation going. So in the case of AI agents, for instance, if you would like to connect the agents to a bank account or give them the ability to program financial products, and you go to a bank, the bank is like, what is this thing? An AI agent? How do I, like, what is the, give me your, like, it's not a human, I need an ID, I need an address, and a credit score maybe. So it's not gonna happen. On the opposite side, the agents, if they want to use a blockchain, you know, that's already a programmable system. So we have APIs, and it looks like it would really be the best thing, you know, the best financial system for AI agents. But not so fast. There are a few problems when you want to migrate blockchain plus AI. I'm not going to go into all the details, but basically, it's just like blockchain was invented before. So it was meant for a certain purpose with human beings in mind. If they wanted to use Bitcoin, they would use tools and transfer the assets. Now the problem is if you replace the humans by AI agents that try to use Bitcoin or another blockchain, traditional blockchain, you will see a number of issues. So one of them is just the scale. AI agents, they can literally just flood the system with lots of transactions, a lot of micropayments. That's one of the things we like with them, actually. It's the ability for the agents to talk to each other in real time and do all those tasks much faster than humans. But do we have the proper infrastructure in the blockchain? Right now, it's not clear. Another thing also is the the safety concerns. When you have humans and you give them a client, or you give them a procedure, they follow the procedure, but in the back of their mind, they're always thinking, the context. So out there, for instance, there's a QR code, okay? You want to pay the coffee, you scan the QR code. The QR code itself is not, how do you know it's the right QR code? You don't know, but it's displayed in front of the coffee. People look like serious. So, and then in a second, if you pay the wrong person, you will know because they will not give you coffee. So as a human, you're pretty satisfied with protocol. If you're an AI agent, you have no clue what's going on. I give you like a QR code of the equivalent of that in the internet. If you pay the wrong person, that's it. Maybe you don't even realize that. So it shows that when you substitute human beings for AI agents, there are more safety challenges, more security challenges. The last one is also just the ability for blockchains to talk to execute AI themselves. That's something that they're absolutely not made for. And so all of that was an introduction for my company, Linera. So here you go. And and that's basically where I wanted to go, just saying that we're working on all those topics. I'm going to put a slide out there to for people that are a bit technical in the audience to just make them curious so that they can ask me questions later. And that's it. That's what we're doing at Linera. We're working on a new blockchain to make sure that AI agents, while they are reshaping the future, they do it in the most secure, efficient, and they do it on chain. Thank you very much. And probably we have time for questions. Or reactions. I'm sorry I said AI is not going to destroy the world. Yes.
I guess just thinking about tech in the future and like how we're moving as a society, what is, if AI doesn't go on chain, what are we looking at? Like what are the, I guess, you outlined some of it about security, but do you think we as a society will have failed ourselves and like will completely erode trust because we're letting non-secure AI agents take over? Or is this kind of one of those things where like there's fears for security with not on chain, but the reality is both can work and live simultaneously together? Or if we don't go on chain, it will all crash and burn to hell?
Okay, so.
I gave you 3 options, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, so my point was that without blockchain technology, it's going to be much more difficult to enforce transparency without over-regulating, right? So basically, you will end up with
Evil corporate overlords.
right. Yeah, I mean because AI. Yeah, training AI models requires a lot of money, a lot of hardware. And so what we're seeing right now is that there are only a few companies that manage to get the resource, put the resource together to create those really, really good AI models. And if you try to compete, your model is not going to be that good. And so you're not going to really have users. So now, where do we go from there? Like, do we accept the fact that it's going to be 5 companies or 10 companies that are managing the AI models, that are running all the AI assistants of everybody else in the world? Or do we try to create an alternate model where people come together and use those blockchain protocols to create their own model that belongs to everybody? There's also a third way where some of the big tech companies kind of give the model to everyone. So that's one of the aspects, although you still have to study the model, and it may be hard for them to show you how the model was trained. You know, there's this model called DeepSeek, for instance, that is open source, but it's created by a Chinese company. How was it trained? Turns out, like, if you ask certain questions, you don't get the answers that you would expect. So there's that as well.
So it sounds like you're trying to give more power to people and more agency to actually humans that will be using the technology instead of companies.
Right. So, and once again, there were two faces of the coin. There's one that is like the origin of the model, like who owns the model. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I think it's gonna be really hard to train models entirely on the blockchain, because it's already very, very expensive with, like, when one company does it. Now, if you create a network where you want everybody to sort of collaborate and create a model, it looks like it's going to really multiply the costs. And so it's not necessarily what I put my money on. So maybe there's going to be a lot of regulations on how you train the models. But when it comes to using the models, in particular when it comes to giving them these financial abilities, I really think blockchain is the best way to do that. And I was trying to explain a few of the challenges that we are addressing. Yeah, thanks.
So I understand the company is a blockchain company, right? The company is a blockchain company.
Yes.
Now that's going to become like an AI agent creation company.
So the story of Linera is, and actually I didn't mention it, but yeah, so it's based on research I was doing when I was at Facebook Libra, you know, like the project of Facebook that was trying to create a blockchain itself, and that didn't work for regulation reasons. And so some of the research back then I was doing became was a payment system, and we generalized. We added smart contracts, and we worked pretty hard along the years to create this infrastructure. And recently we found that it was also solving a lot of issues that I presented when you want to connect AI agents to a blockchain. And so we're pretty happy to talk about that now, obviously. And AI agents are very interesting. I think that really with Linera, they can really participate to be more tapped into the security of the blockchains. We're moving some of the intermediates that otherwise are used to read the data. So blockchains, they are those weird entities that are easily siloed. Nowadays, for normal blockchains, the people don't really interact directly with the blockchains. They just talk to someone that can interact with the blockchain. So there are a number of intermediates. We call them RPC providers. And the analogy I was making with the coffee is like, when you're a human, you talk to this intermediate and you ask them, hey, this is my transaction. Can you talk to the blockchain for me and make the payment happen? Or, hey, can you tell me what is the amount of what is the balance of my account? And these intermediates, they read the blockchain and they return the result for you. The problem is you kind of have to trust them. So if you're a human, you ask the RPC provider to read the blockchain, they give you an answer that is weird, you'll be like, hey, wait, that's not what I remember. I'm going to use a different RPC provider. But now if you're an AI agent, you know, you've got all those automated decisions to make. Suddenly there's this problem of data security that we think is going to be more and more crucial. Okay, more questions. Okay. Okay. So there's a standard called MCP, which has been developed by Anthropic, which is the author of Claude, one of the big models. And this standard, we support this standard out of the box. So every application created on Linera will be usable by any AI agent that understands this framework. All right. Okay, well, thank you so much.